like starting fresh with a fresh airdrop, and right from the start, we get a portal gun, a mega torch. Yes, I will take all of that for sure, especially the portal gun. Oh, and we get a vexing archwood sapling. Now, all these saplings we could get, but welcome into today's video. And I've got a lot of stuff I kind of want to work on today, specifically in the pneumatic era, because according to our quest book, we are getting very, very close to, well, getting ourselves a suit that allows us to go deep sea swimming. Oh, now finding this portal gun is actually kind of awesome because it allows me to essentially teleport from one location to another just by clicking on the wall. For example, if I want to go into my storage area and I want to access my storage, which is up here, I can go ahead and I can set a portal by left clicking right here. So now that portal exists. And if I go to another location, I can just simply right click. So anywhere that I want to just access my storage, I will just right click. This allows me to walk straight through the wall and go right back into my storage. And then I can just walk back through the portal and here I am. And if I'm anywhere else, I can just simply change the portal location. This changes everything. Now I know this is going to be kind of stark, but this is actually what this whole area looks like without shaders on. And this is actually what the portals look like with the shaders off. Yeah, they do look a lot better, but man, having those shaders on makes the entirety of the base look so much better. So you know what? Shaders on for now. Now, currently we are still in the steaming ahead section, and this is where things start to sort of come down into a pressurized suit. Well, we're going to be making a pneumatic suit and being able to put some upgrades in here, allowing us to go deep underwater, which is going to be pretty powerful, I think. Now, to be able to fully do this, we do need to get into a little bit of Pneumaticcraft, it looks like. For example, to be able to make this suit, we do need some air canisters, not too bad to make. The logic core is not too bad to make. And this just requires compressed iron. We do need to be able to, however, charge this suit with a charging station. And it does look like we definitely want to make ourselves a pressure chamber. Now, this requires a little bit of adamant. I believe that's how you say that. And I'm assuming that's supposed to be like adamantite, right? Kind of like from Terraria. Maybe I'm wrong. But it does look like, though, for making security upgrades and things like this, we are going to need the upgrade matrix. And to be able to get these upgrades, well, we're going to have to make our first thermopneumatic processing plant. Yeah, it's not as bad as you might think, requiring just water and lapis to make these, but it still is an introduction into the whole process through the Pneumaticcraft, which might scare a few of you, but I promise I'm going to make Pneumaticcraft as easy to understand as possible. But honestly, before I go off and start working on Pneumaticcraft, I want to expand on the base, because this room right here, I definitely want to be dedicated to power. So I'm thinking about setting up another one of these fancy rooms right here, specifically for our Pneumaticcraft. And I really like the glass rooms, even for the tech stuff. It's just really nice to be able to look out. These feel kind of claustrophobic to me. And boy, oh boy, is that satisfying to watch. Now, thankfully, the production of our actual pressure has been made kind of easy. Because it's going to lead us into this, a breath of fresh air, if I can say this correctly. This is a flux compressor. So we don't have to worry about the other compressors. We can just make this, and this is going to use power to generate pressure. To make this, however, we are going to need a turbine reactor bearing from Extreme Reactors, which is very cheap to make, just some iron. An Invar gear, it looks like blast furnace, some copper alloy nuggets, and well, vacuum tubes, which means we need some of the creosote that I stored up inside of a tank from our coke oven to make the treated wood planks. Now, there was a reason that I had you put this in a tank, because if we use this particular tank just like this, or you even use the tank from Pneumaticcraft, this right here allows you to just make it as if you were putting a bucket of creosote in here. It's so good that you can do this, because I have had to, in other packs, manually craft this one bucket at a time. But not this one. So by making an engineer's crafting table and then crafting it to make an engineer's workbench, bam, there we go. We now have ourselves the engineer's workbench ready to go. Oh, it does look like I need a bucket of creosote. So a boop here and a boop there. There we go. Quest complete. Now, it looks like the reason I need this is to make a vacuum tube. So I am going to need an engineer's blueprint for this. The vacuum tube is going to require nickel plates and also some copper wire. Copper wire being really easy for me to make, all of this being quite simple to make. But we are going to need a few vacuum tubes so that way we can actually make the compressor. But this also unlocks garden cloches, I do believe, which is a way that we can use power to grow crops. Now, while I'm working on this, I should probably also, inside of my foundry, start making that adamantite. Adamant? I got to get that started processing up. And this requires some nickel and some diamond in order to do this. And there we go. And I can't believe I forgot to do this, but I should probably use all of these steel rods and, well, upgrade my mesh. Yeah, for all of my processes that are sieving at the moment. As this was definitely an oversight that I forgot to do, but this is going to help, I think, allow me to generate more diamonds, but also just more things in general. Right? So this is just going to grant me more things. So we should probably grab some of the adamant and then also head on over. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing this. I could just use my portal, but head on over here. So I do have a little bit of copper wire. I have the glass, I have the plates, and then we are also missing redstone dust. So we'll grab some redstone. And when we put all of this together, we can then just shift right click to make a bunch of vacuum tubes. So beautiful. So we're almost there. Now we do need to make some pressure tubes, and it's kind of interesting, this progression, because we're going to make these reinforced pressure tubes, which of course are upgraded versions of the base pressure tubes. The cool part about this is the default requires or can only handle up to 5 bars of pressure, which is kind of how you start with this mod. And then it goes up to 10 with the reinforced. This usually I think requires plastic to get to this tier. And then you go up to the highest tier, which is advanced tubes, which can hold up to 20 bar. And this prevents these tubes from actually blowing up and can handle a whole lot more load. Now, the interesting part is we get these right from the start, which kind of limits the possibility of you making your tubes and all of your stuff go boom, which is kind of a good thing, because making these advanced tubes would typically require you to go through a kind of extensive process, either through villagers specifically to get these, or by going through a very lengthy circuit processing setup that would require you to use etching acid and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's a lot to technically get these, but you get them right away. So this is going to be very nice. Ooh, through the quest, by the way, I ended up getting an energized heartstone. I think this allows you to teleport back home, right? Channel energy with lightning it is struck by, and then is used to teleport to any bound location. Use while sneaking. Note that reset the stone later, it will need to be hit with lightning again. Can be enhanced with unbreaking and mending. Oh, so it has uses. Oh, nice. So we can like use this, and we can shift right click, for example, here. And now it is bound to this location. Oh, that's cool. So then we could just teleport back here whenever we want. That's going in the backpack. So let's go ahead and make up some of these tubes. This is going to cost some of our steel. So I definitely want to upgrade our basic pressure tubes that we already had in our storage, and then make the advanced pressure tubes using some of this new material. Oh, that is perfect. Yeah, this is some powerful stuff we just got. So now we're about to make this new component, this new machine, getting us into Pneumaticcraft really. And this is going to be an interesting kind of section here, because this thing uses power, right? But how are we going to move power around the base? As of right now, we just have cables, and that is going to get kind of ugly kind of quick if we plan on, for example, moving these cables all throughout the base. I mean, it would look really good to do the cabling like that, where you have the cabling like running along the roof. I'm debating on whether or not we step into the realm of wireless power, or do we stay using cables and just making it aesthetic. You know what? If I go about doing this the aesthetic way, we are going to have to switch to the basic universal cables. And this is going to be pretty powerful, because when you place down cables, for example, like this, you are ultimately building a power network. And this is not only just a power network that increases the amount of throughput. No. This not only increases throughput, but it also increases the power stored throughout the entire network. Notice how I keep adding a cable. It just went up to 16,000. Then it goes up to 19,000. every cable that is added to this will increase the amount of power throughput and also increase the amount of power that it can store throughout the cable. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more information about your actual cable networks, I recommend making a network reader, and this allows you to see information about your cables. For example, this cable network tells you your power buffer, your throughput if you had power running through it, and you'd also see its total overall capacity. And this is like, for example, a basic one, capacity of 8, and you have the basic buffer of 3.2 thousand. So yes, you do start to get a much higher throughput rate the more you sort of build together here. And I think just overall, it's going to be a much better idea to switch from these Oritech cables, considering that they break when they get touched by water. And what are we surrounded by? Water. Yeah, I'm really starting to dislike these Oritech pipes. And you know what? This actually might be a really cool aesthetic choice, having these cables run through the ceiling like this. Now with the new cable network in place, ooh, things are going to start looking really nice. We need to start working on how we're going to develop some pressure, so we can also set up a pressure chamber so we can make the steel or the iron, compressed iron, a little bit easier. And we also want to get ourselves a thermal pneumatic plant up so we can make upgrades. This is going to be kind of important because we need to make security upgrades so we don't accidentally, well, blow up things. But thankfully, it looks like after making the compressor, we do get a security upgrade by default for free, which is going to be really nice. And we also get another chaos box. Should I open the chaos box over here and test out my new sword? It might be a good idea, but it also might be a good idea that I have some blocks again to, well, maybe block this off in case it's a big boy. Let's try. And, oh, it's our friend. It's our friend. Look how friendly he is. I will get you, Taz, one of these days. One of these days, I will be able to get you. Eventually, Taz. But anyways, let's move on. Oh, and by the way, we did end up getting a golden egg. How nice. Oh my goodness, Taz is still down there. I thought Taz would just disappear after a certain period of time. I mean, maybe Taz will. But anyways, let's go ahead and put a soul campfire down here. And I'm going to put a jar and an automator on top of this. The reason I want to do this is it allows me to make cast iron a little bit easier. Now, we are going to need a little bit more base material. So that does mean we are going to need, for example, more of the compressed iron to get this without an actual pressure chamber, which we're going to need more of this to make the pressure chamber. We are going to need to explode a little bit of the actual cast iron. So that means I need to throw in 16 iron with 1 coal, and that will grant me this, so long as it's superheated. And to get it superheated, well, you just need a soul campfire. You can see right here. Ooh, it looks like another airdrop's incoming. Man, these are always worth getting. So what is in this one? Certus, more cardboard box, a little bit of essence. I'll take it. A life upgrade. Oh, and we get our first ender chest. I love how another life upgrade. This is gonna be great because that's what we're working towards. This is kind of nice. A heal glyph. I don't think I have this one yet. Oh, I do have this. So by the way, I can go ahead and trash these. I do recommend like just getting rid of them. This is kind of a nice haul here. Honestly, not as good as the last one, which I did end up getting the portal gun, which is just honestly so good because, for example, I'm here right now. Now I'm here. The portal gun is just too good. Now let's go ahead and blow some of this stuff up. Now, just to put this over here so it's kind of out of the way and not blowing up my base, I'm going to toss some of that down and then make sure our magnet's off. Hit it with some flint and steel. And well, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of loss here. But you can see it did turn into some compressed iron, which is exactly what we wanted. And I think that I could have gotten away with not having this at all. Probably could have blown this up in the base because, yeah, we have chunk protection. Now, I do want to go ahead and get the few things needed to get the actual pressure chamber up and running. So really, you just need 1 pressure valve, 2 of these chamber interfaces, and then some pressurized wall. And then also, if you're a little bit fancy, maybe a pressure chamber glass. We really only need 1 to get the basic up and running. We also will need a thermopneumatic processing plant. Don't let the name scare you. It's a pretty simple machine. So I guess it's now time to actually dive into this Pneumaticcraft. Now, this compressor is a little bit more complicated than it might first seem. And that's because it is going to generate heat, much like a real compressor will generate heat. This one does also generate heat. Now it looks like placing it down, it looks like this is actually the valve section, which is kind of interesting. So placing it here allows the valve to be facing out, which is kind of what I want. But there's a lot of information that we're going to have to kind of keep in mind here whenever we actually get this powered up. Notice there is a temperature bar right here. And our goal is to actually keep this temperature bar below this value to keep it at its most efficient state. And yes, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge to do this, but thankfully there's a lot of ways to actually reduce the temperature of this machine. First things first though, let's just simply give it some power. So I think we can power it possibly from the top. There we go. We can power it from the top. And we're going to hear this thing automatically start kicking up, and it's going to start generating some power. Now, I think we can shut this off immediately by giving it a redstone signal. So now we can control it with redstone. That's going to be good. And this one you can actually shut off immediately, unlike many of the other compressors in this mod. Okay, so let's start to use this thing. Right here we have a pneumatic plant, right? And we need to feed this water. We need to start producing some of the abilities to make these upgrades, which is going to be really nice. By default, I recommend putting a security upgrade in here, even though this goes all the way up to 20 bar. I'm going to put one in here anyways, just to make sure we don't have any accidents. And I'm not going to worry about speed for right now, but I will go ahead and place a tube that'll allow this to be pressurized. Okay, so we then also need to feed this water. So let's go ahead and just use a simple fluid pipe to give this a little bit of water. And then lapis is actually what is going to be required to make the thing that we're wanting to make here. So as soon as I turn this on, hopefully it will start generating a little bit of pressure, and it needs to get up to 2 bar before it starts generating anything. But also we have temperature increasing here, which is going to pose a little bit of a problem. Now, if I add, for example, speed upgrades into here, we will notice this will generate a little bit faster. The bar is going up, the pressure is going up, but this is also going to make this a little bit more inefficient, and it's also going to start generating more heat. So it's sort of a balance. I do recommend maybe putting this in here to get it initially started, and then probably pulling the speed upgrades out before it starts really causing some problems. This mod definitely balances pressure and temperature. We have to worry about a thermal aspect of these machines. And right here, this is now working. Look at that. So now we're generating those upgrade matrices, which we're going to need a little bit of. So I just put a temporary tank here right now to build up a few of them. So yes, this is going up. Now, how do we reduce the actual heat that this machine produces? That is going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. And one easy way is just simply putting a heat sink on here. Much like your actual computer uses, your CPU has a heat sink on it technically, and a fan is using air to cool that off, or you might have a pump that is pumping water to cool off the heat sink as well. The same thing applies here. We can just simply put a heat sink on this machine and the other machine that is using heat, because this is also generating heat, by the way. And we want to disperse that. And on this one, we can also help disperse some heat here. But it's not going to work super well on its own, right? We probably need a method of actually blowing on the heatsink. And there's actually a way we can do that. And that, my friends, is through an air gate tube module, which has a lot more uses than just simply connecting and cooling a heatsink. It can actually push you around a little bit. But we are going to need it right here, and we're going to need to put this on just like so. Notice it pushes me around, but what it's also doing is it's also cooling off the heatsink. So this should hopefully help sustain this. I might actually need to bring it over too. But yeah, we can definitely keep this a little bit cooler by having the pressurized tube here. So hopefully that is going to work, and it does push me around, which is kind of unfortunate. It does push you around just a little bit, but yeah, it should hopefully keep this temperature down a little bit. So I guess now it's time for the fun part, actually building out the pressure chamber. So the pressure chamber is not that complicated to put together. In reality, you're just going to need a pressure valve, which I'm pretty sure I do have. Let's see. If not, I am going to make one real quick. I think that was one thing I forgot to make. There's the pressure chamber valve. And then this can go in the back, for example, or in this particular case, with it being so small, I would like to have it on the back. And so I have that placed in right here, in which we can just simply carry our pressure tube along the back here. And we can just bring this along. I don't want to connect it up just yet, but yeah, we can have it carried along the wall. And now this is connected in, and these carry so much pressure that we're not going to have to worry too much about this sort of breaking this down. The cool part about this is actually going to hold a quote unquote volume of air. And the more tubes you have, of course, the more volume you're going to have to fill up. So that is one unfortunate thing to keep in mind here. But let's talk about how we can get items in. That is going to be through the interfaces. Now, by default, blue is the insert and orange is the output. But if I go ahead and I place this out here, notice this is blue. That doesn't work, right? We can't have two inputs like this. So what we're going to have to do to get this in output is either use a wrench, or we can just simply place it from the same side, and you're going to notice this is now an output. And these hatches are kind of cool. They're kind of like gates. Imagine if we had a door here and we had a door here, and inside we open this door because this was, for example, like, I don't know, water, and we close that door, and then we're standing in the middle section, which a little bit is going to be lost, like a little bit of water maybe got in. And then we open this door and we come in here and close it. Only a little bit of water has escaped. Well, the same thing is going to happen with the pressure here. So every time these hatches open to let items in, it's going to let out a little bit of air into this chamber. So we are going to have a little bit of a loss. Speed upgrades do help with that. But yeah, these are like little pressure gates that are going to prevent a lot of our internal pressure from escaping each time we send items in. Now, I do want to use glass on the front because I like to be able to see my stuff working. And then the rest just gets filled in like so. It's kind of nice. Like, this is all we really need. And as soon as we place the last bit in, boop, there we go. Balanced crafting system. Nice. So now we have ourselves our first pressurized system. Now, this mod has really come a long ways, and it's really easy now to automate this. We just need to have something sending items in, for example, a hopper or a pipe, and it's going to fill this chamber with items. It's going to automatically close up, and then it's going to send them in here. It's then going to wait for it to hit the certain amount of pressure. Notice, by the way, over 5, if it goes into the red, boom. So we definitely on this machine want a security upgrade to help prevent this from blowing up. We don't want it to blow up. On the back here, this is where it's came a long way. This now has a button that is automatically set to crafted. So it will only export out or allow you to pipe out of here if the product has been crafted. So thankfully it will no longer like allow you to put iron in and then it automatically pull iron out without it being filtered. It's just going to do it automatically. So much easier than it used to be. And I love to express that because honestly, I feel like changes like these are what makes mods like these a lot more accessible to more people. Now let's take a look here. Right now we're setting at about 8 bar, give or take. And if I put this and I connect this up now, that pressure is going to dip significantly because now it's going to have to balance that pressure through this entire system and also into this interface. Now on the pressurized reaction chamber here, I also want to put a volume upgrade. This is going to be really nice and it's going to allow this to store more air inside of it, basically making its internal tank bigger, which is good because each time we do a craft, we're going to lose a little bit of air pressure in that operation. So this will allow us to do more crafts without losing as much air. We'll lose the same amount of air. We just have more air to lose essentially. Now, before problems start happening, I do want to explain a few things and how we can actually prevent issues with our network. Now, I did put a security upgrade in here. So when this gets close to 5 bar, it's going to release air. But that also means that we no longer will be able to store anywhere near 20 bar inside of these pipes. And that means this is going to consistently dump air and only ever go up to the 5 bar, which is kind of going to be a waste, right? So how can we get away with that? Well, we can use a regulator tube module, and we can place this hopefully inside of our tubes here. Probably going to need to break this to do this, but we are going to need to place a tube module to regulate the air pressure that is coming out of it. This is going to be kind of important, and I hope I set this in the correct direction, but this tube module is going to be kind of important, regulating the outgoing to only 4.9 bar exactly. And I really wish this had like an indicator, like an arrow or something that told me exactly what position it needs to be placed in, but I'm pretty sure it needs to be placed like this on the outgoing side. This thing is going to be kind of nice because most machines, and I mean most of them, do not like going above this threshold. So by putting this here, it allows this to build up back pressure, and allowing this to be regulated to only allowing that low amount in, preventing possible explosions. So I am going to need a charging station, and we're also going to need some pipes. I think some basic logistical pipes will be a good thing to use here. And so we'll need one for a barrel. That is going to be an input barrel, and then we're going to have an output barrel. I think both of these are going to be kind of great to set up. Oh, and we're also probably going to need some iron. Actually, we're going to need cast iron because that is how we make our materials. So thankfully I have some over here, and we can get this converted and turned into more compressed iron. So we're going to need this to make our pneumatic suit. And so I recommend the setup looking a little bit like this. We have a logistical transporter right here, and then we can use our configurator to have this set to a pull and have this set to a pull to send into our machine. So let's go ahead and get this started. We're going to put this in. That's going to start sending them in. We'll notice the pressure drop ever so slightly every time this goes in, but when it's done, it's going to get crafted out. We wait for the container to open, and then that automatically gets sent like so. Very, very interesting. Now, you know what? I did notice a little bit of an issue here. This is only allowing one item in at a time, and I do find that the omnidirectional hopper is a little bit better at doing this. If I look up and I place this in the top right-hand corner here, this will actually allow a buffer to build up inside of the hopper. And this is smart enough to interact with each other and allow this chamber to build up before then sending the batch. So instead of sending one at a time per lock, it'll do it this way. And then on this side right here, we can actually use a dispenser upgrade. And if I click, for example, on this wall, it's going to eject to the west face. Or at least it should eject over here. Actually, I think it is looking at the face of the block. So we actually want to click here and have it eject to the east side. So now whenever I put this in here, it's going to automatically shoot the items out, which we don't want it to do. Instead, what we want is it to eject into the barrel. So now once this is finished, it should just kind of like hopper directly into this container. There it goes. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting logistical system, but yeah, it works really, really well with itself. And it would work good with a higher tier of the pipes, but yeah, there's still going to be a limiting factor there. I do like that the hoppers here allow you to go upside down. Pretty cool little device. So I guess now we need to start talking about charging. So to be able to pressurize certain things, we are going to need to use a charging station. Thankfully, this goes all the way up to 20 bar, which is going to be really nice. But we need to now craft the gear that is going to allow us to descend to the depths, and this also is going to need to be charged. You can see I need a lot of compressed iron in order to make this stuff, because each of these individual pieces here, once we get our base like leather and stuff crafted, we are going to need all of this to be pressurized. And it does look like I am going to need to finally get into the Farmer's Delight, and I need to make a pot because we are going to need a bit more leather, and I'm going to use the crafting mechanic for this. So yes, we can actually craft up honey by putting in sugar just like so and putting bottles here, and this generates the honey for us. And then I just need a little bit of hemp in order to get that grown up. Thankfully, that's a pretty straightforward process. As of right now, there's just so many things that I have access to. Just for right now, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to farm this, which allows us to get the hemp without actually getting any of the extra parts, right? So we get the actual fiber, which we can then turn into these tough fabrics, and that's what we need right here to make this leather. Also, by the way, did we just get this fella just naturally spawned? We did. There's a little Drigme just wandering about now. Uh-oh, don't go down there, man. That's a bad place. Now it's time. With all of this stuff ready to go and 22 air canisters needed, there is our first introduction into pneumatic gear. And I call this stuff Iron Man gear because it really does make you feel like Iron Man whenever you have this gear on. You can customize the colors and all kinds of other cool stuff. Definitely worth it. But yes, pneumatic boots, and last but not least, that is now it. And we do get a few more life upgrades, speed upgrades, everything is nice. And I guess we were missing the basic matrices. We should have that. There we go, and quest complete. So now this leads us into doing this. We need a scuba upgrade. That's going to require a few things to allow us to dive underwater. And then we also need some depth upgrades. And we're going to need this for each of our pieces of gear, I do believe. Oh, actually, maybe not. It says it's only used in the leggings for this one. And then the scuba gear is only used in the helmet. So perfect. So everything else, we will have space for other things. Now, how does all of this work? Well, everything comes back to this charging station, right? Oh, by the way, this is the sound of it releasing air. Once it has hit a threshold. I wonder why it's actually releasing air. Unless the security upgrade only allows us to go up to 10 bar. That is kind of interesting. But anyways, we have a security upgrade in here, and this is now at 10 bar. And so what we can do is we can start to pressurize this, but we can also look at our upgrade tab here. And this gives us a lot more detail about what all the upgrades do. Well, actually, this tells you about the upgrades for the charging station, but in here, this tells you all of the upgrades for the gear. Now, in all of our pieces of gear, we're going to want life upgrades. This is going to be very, very needed, specifically in our in our helmet and also in our pants. So by putting these in here, you can see right here, it's going to allow it to auto repair our gear at the cost of some air. So essentially this is going to give us mending. I'm also going to put speed upgrades in the charger. It's going to allow it to fill with air a bit faster. But yeah, that's essentially what this is going to do. And each piece of gear, we're going to want those upgrades in. But like I said, I will make more upgrades. It does tell you, I believe in here, the max amount you can have in is 5, and that'll make sure you keep this nice and repaired. Now, while I'm charging this up, I want to also start working on armor upgrades, and we're going to need an assembler to be able to actually get this up and running. And it looks like it's going to require some interesting materials here that we're probably not going to have access to just yet. Hopefully soon. Like, really, we only need this to go underwater. I do have this gear to hopefully protect me from other shenanigans. But I guess we're actually really close to having at least some of the nicer upgrades ready to go. So I now have the scuba upgrade, the depth upgrade, and that, my friends... Ooh, we get something rare here. What do we get? Fluix dust. Interesting. And we get another chaos box. All right, I kind of want to rip open the new chaos box. We also got some soulbound, ooh, which will be really nice to have on this gear as well, because this can be enchanted. But let's go ahead and take this on. Let's try our chaos box. We might get something good from this as well. All right, so let's pull out some material so we can block this off just in case. And run, 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 run. Holy smokes. That just struck lightning on me. Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing some lightning? Oh, I was not ready for that. Okay, maybe I can move this. It does look like they can reach a little bit. Okay. Woo! I'm getting a little taste. Oh, wow. 2 shots? Oh, and we got ourselves our first abyssal fragment from that. And this has several crafting uses, it looks like. We can use this to make an abyssal pearl. All kinds of cool stuff, actually. Whew, that thing wasn't as bad as I thought, even though the lightning did definitely scare me. Now, with all of our gear pressured up and ready to go, we can swap into this gear. And this is where things get very, very interesting. It has the craziest load up animation that you've probably ever seen. And it shows you all of the individual components that you could potentially have on. And if we hit U, we can actually go into here and start configuring all of our different components. Now, if you're anything like me, you definitely want to customize your gear. To be able to do this, when you hit U, you want to click the core component section and then click colors. And this is where you can define all the different aspects of your gear. You can also reset everything. For example, if you just want to change the color of your eyes, you can make your eyes any color you want like this. Very, very nice. You also have your main colors. You also have the other colors, like different accent colors that you can apply. And just all of this customizability is super nice. For example, this looks really, really good, and I like these colors, so I'll just hit save. And now, with all of that, our gear is now changed, and we're looking pretty snazzy. But now I guess the real magic is the fact that we can now jump into the water and we can go down deeper into the water. Very interesting. Now, we are going to need to apply our scuba, which I think is going to require a hotkey. For that, I have it assigned to period. I did also make sure to have it enabled in here. And so now I can hit the period key. And I think that will auto refill. Yeah, it does. It auto refills Oh man, that is so interesting. It auto refills our bubbles every time that's needed. Man, we are really going to need, we are going to need some night vision as well. That is something else we can also craft. Oh man, this is kind of scary actually going down this deep. And I don't have the best weaponry to actually keep up with taking on these guys, I don't think. But I mean, at least now it looks like we can reach the like bottom of the ocean. Oh man, at least if I get in trouble, I can always teleport away. Oh boy. Oh boy. How much damage do these guys do? That's kind of what I want to know. Okay. We might be able to take them on. They're fish though. Oh man. It does give you poison, which is not good. Oh, it's so weird being down on the ocean floor like this. But here we are. And thankfully in the top right, we can actually see our air pressure going down in our helmet. So we can keep track of how long we've been down here. This guy! What? Why is he in my face, but like I can't hit him? Oh, ooh, we also got a trident guy. Okay. I don't know how well I can actually handle the trident guys. But this will be a test. Ow, they do a lot of damage. Okay. It's so hard to hit them. Quit. Okay, yeah, I think it might be time to go back up. We'll try our air. We'll try the air drop. But at least we know now we can actually go underwater and explore structures we see. Yeah, maybe the airdrop's gonna have something nice. Turtle seeds, totem of undying. Okay, I feel like we've reached a part where things are starting to change. Totems of undying. Feather glyphs, honey seeds. Ooh, a drowned belt. Minus 32.5% swim speed though. That doesn't seem very good. But yeah, turtle seeds, that's kind of interesting. All of this, I guess, is to help us adventure more into the ocean. Now, wait a minute. We just got the glyph of glide, which is essentially an elytra. What? We just got an Ars elytra for free. I mean, we can't exactly use it because it is too powerful for our current spellbook, but still, like, we just ended up getting a Totem of Undying. We just need another star, I guess, to be able to make that book and to take on the Wild. And still, though, I feel like that was that's a tease. That's such a tease. And I wasn't even freaking out about this, but we also got like 6 netherite ingots. I mean, they're pretty easy for us to make as of right now, but still. So yeah, making the night vision, I think, is going to be very, very worthwhile. And we really just have to do the basics here, right? Blaze powder, which we easily have. There we go. And we have to build this up to the longer tier version. So we are going to need 1 redstone as well. But once we have this, bam, we will have ourselves a night vision module, allowing us to toggle night vision on and off, which is going to be really helpful, I think, underwater. And with this, bam, we now have some night vision upgrade ready to go. And I'm just going to place this directly inside of our helmet. And I already set the hotkey for this, so that will go in there. And now we have the ability to toggle on once, by the way, this reaches its full potential, because you can't activate anything until those hit 100%. But as soon as it hits 100%, and we look out this window here, and I hit in, which I assigned to night vision, it's supposed to toggle on. Actually, we have to, I think, enable night vision. There we go. Ooh, and I guess our hotkey we're going to have to assign to something else. Ah, I can right click, bind the key to it, and then possibly it will allow me, there we go, to toggle it on and off. This is going to be pretty nice. Now, this is going to lead us into an exploration journey that is going to be taking shape within the next few episodes. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And of course, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, give this video a huge thumbs up. We're actually getting super, super close, believe it or not, to hitting that 1 million subscriber mark. One of these days, we'll definitely get there. But I can't do it without you guys. Also, be sure to join the Discord and, of course, follow me over on the good old Twitch if you haven't already. All of that links you can find down in the description below. Now, with that being said, it is now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to none other than Sharky. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and of course supporting in one of the best ways possible. Guys, also, I do want to thank you for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And of course, to end it as always, thanks for watching.